Hey everyone, what is happening? We are talking about Platyhelminthes. This is the third phyla in our in Kingdom Animalia, the invertebrates. And what I would love for you to do is you're going to check these notes out in Microsoft Teams. What I want you to do is check out this quick little 40-second video to start, and then you're going to see what Platyhelminthes actually are. I'd like to tell you that platy are flatworms, and how do I remember that? Well, platy rhymes with flatty. All right, and so we're going to take a look at flatworms, and another word for this is planaria. Now, many of these species are parasites, others are free living. Parasites, I mean, are they live inside of another organism and they suck the energy right out of them, whereas others are free living, mostly in water, freshwater, or in salt water. Now, some general characteristics that we're going to see here are bilateral symmetry. Now, what this does is it also shows this word that we learned last lesson was cephalization, meaning that they have a bundle of nerves at one end. If we draw a little Platyhelminthes here, we just drew a little head and a tail, and bilateral symmetry is if we can cut it in half and one side is the same as the other side. We humans, a lot of things like cats, all have bilateral symmetry as well. Now, we talked about radial symmetry with jellyfish or Cnidaria, and radial symmetry was when you can cut something in multiple ways and they can all flip over here and they will equal each other. So we had bilateral symmetry, and Platyhelminthes show cephalization, and that means, so what they have is they have sense organs in the front, which are connected to a simple brain, and you can see that right here. Now, they have one or more long nerve cords running down the length of their body, with shorter nerve cords running across the body. Now, a really cool fact is that in parasitic worms, their nervous system is non-existent. They only have a couple of these eye spots, and these have a special name. They're called ocelli, and they are light sensitive, and so they can be moving around and with depending on if it's light or dark. So moving on, we see that they have three tissue layers: an ectoderm, meaning outside, a mesoderm, meaning middle skin, and endoderm, which is inside skin. Now, as we move along from simple organisms like Porifera, Cnidaria, Platyhelminthes to more complex organisms like mollusks like octopi and squid, and also Echinodermata, we see that their complexity increases. All right, and so I want you to bring your attention to this term right here called a coelom, which means they have no body cavity or space inside their bodies for organs. These are called acoelomates. Now, acoelomates are very simple, and as we move over in complexity, we get more and more space in between the organs and their endoderm. And so this is just like us. We have an abdominal cavity for all our different organs. So just to be aware of those terms, we've got bilateral and radial symmetry. We had cephalization, and then acoelomate and a pseudocoelomate right here is when it's kind of in between. And then we have a coelomate totally, which means there's space for organs to move and grow. That leads us into our digestive system, and this is just like Cnidaria. They have an incomplete digestive system. That means they have one opening, and the one opening functions like a mouth and anus, and we called that a bowth last time. Now, the pharynx, this is called a pharynx. This pharynx takes in food and releases wastes, and it brings in food into the gastrovascular cavity, just like Cnidaria. Then there's enzymes in that gastrovascular cavity that digest the food. This is called extracellular digestion. Nutrients are absorbed into all the cells directly from the gastrovascular cavity. Therefore, they have no circulatory system because it's not needed. It's because they are so thin. Now, they have a few different methods of feeding. Some are carnivores that feed on tiny aquatic animals and dead animals. They use their pharynx to suck in the food with their gastrovascular cavity, and then the food is digested by enzymes. Now, others are going to be parasites that can live on other organisms. Now, respiration and circulation is quite important. Due to the fact that they are flat, they don't need a respiratory system, so they don't actually breathe. So no breathing. And they don't have a circulatory system. That means there's no blood pumping. Now, this is because they do gas exchange and they do distribution of nutrients by diffusion. And diffusion, remember, that is movement of molecules from one place to another, but it always goes from a high concentration to an area of low concentration. Now, this is why we see in the digestive system, it is so branched and spread out over the whole body. And you can see that right here. So see all these branches right here and right here? That's all digestive system. So it's like having a stomach or a small intestine, actually, more accurately, would be all over your body, even in your fingers, because there's no way for nutrients to be moved because they have no circulatory system. It would also be saying like having your lungs everywhere in your body and they'd be diffusing oxygen through your skin. Now, on to the best part, we've got the reproductive system. They do both types of reproduction, and these organisms that do that are hermaphrodites because they have both sex organs, so they can be male and female at the same time. Now, what I want you to do is watch this video right here, best flatworm video ever. And this is called penis fencing. So check it out, and you'll know what I mean. So they also do asexual reproduction, and they do this by fragmentation. And so what happens is they can get cut in half, or they can get cut up in multiple ways, and they will regrow either a head or a tail, depending on. So this only happens in really simple things. You can check this out, check these videos out. They're pretty cool. And that gives us a bit of info into planaria. Now there's a cool worm inside your face, and then a land planarian in Borneo that's like a massive planaria. And now we also have tapeworms. I'm not going to ask you too much about this except for the fact that tapeworms have this really cool head on them called a scolex, and you can see it right here. It's pretty crazy looking, and they basically latch onto your small intestines and suck all the nutrients out. Now, if you watch those videos down here, they are really good in the fact that they show the different proglottids. So these are the repeating parts that have male and female parts into them, and if they get ripped off, they can be digested and they produce more tapeworms. Okay, well, everyone have a great rest of the day, and be sure to check out Teams for any quizzes and or assignments. All right, take care.